Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this Pearson event, where we are delighted to have Mario with us to speak to us about the second edition of Big English, which is already the biggest English course in the world. In the world.
Thank you.
Yay. Mario needs no introduction. I met him last year, actually, and his reputation went before him, of course. But Mario is a complete cosmopolitan. He's equally at home training teachers in China as in Mexico with the sales team, which is where I met him, as elsewhere in the world, making teachers feel great about teaching, which I think is a real positive thing that we would like to celebrate. And as you know, our theme this year is teachers are superheroes, and so are authors. Mario, superhero author, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Woo! So how do we justify a second edition? Why would Coca-Cola come up with another flavor? Okay. Well, there is a reason in language teaching. And the reason is, well, first of all, let's go through the basics. So it's a 6-level course, and the reason why it says that it's for 5 or more hours is because we need to be very flexible. There is a Big English Plus for schools that have up to 10 hours. So my recommendation is that if you have like 5, 6, 7, this is good for you. If you have 8 or more, ask for the Plus version, okay? Now, so here's what I was talking about. The first edition, the reason why the first edition got to first place very early in its life is because it's based on next generation learning, which of course in teaching we call it assessment for learning, okay? And I have to tell you a secret that I've never mentioned in public, but I feel this is Pearson family here. Really? When we launched the first edition, it was at TESOL Dallas 4 or 5 years ago. My friends from the Dominican Republic were there. And I asked Pearson not to show the teacher's guide, just the student book. Because when you are the leader, you're always spied on, okay? So I didn't want to show the teacher's guide because of assessment for learning. We were able to develop a program that makes what's difficult and complex very simple. And I always tell teachers, as long as you learn 4 things, you will make it through your first year, okay? If you know how to involve, how to monitor to see if they actually learned when you involve them, and how to assist them to close that gap that you detected when you were monitoring them, and if you can challenge them for critical thinking purposes and the like. And I didn't want to show the teacher's guide because the lesson plans are based on those principles, and teachers just love them. Well, we carried that onto the next stage, and we keep those famous 4 stages of assessment for learning, but now, as you all know, everybody's concerned about certification and what level do my students have, and parents that pay in your country, those of you that teach overseas, parents that pay for these expensive classes, and they register a kid, let's say in September for the lack of a better month, and then in June, they ask when they register, what level is my kid? And they say, well, your kid is an A1, okay? And then in June, after paying all that money, what level is my kid? Well, he's still an A1, okay? So that wasn't good, okay? It's not good for business, and it's not good for education, for the spirit of learning and what have you. So Pearson, it was like the perfect storm in teaching, okay? Because at the same time that we're doing this, and Mike Mayer is here, so he knows more about what I'm about to say than I do. And Pearson was working on something called the Global Scale of English, okay? And the Global Scale of English is just beautiful because it actually solves 2 problems for those of us that teach young learners. It solves the issue that that famous European framework was not developed for children, by the way, okay? So then all of us teaching children and trying to certify children were puzzled and problem because it was very difficult to put the young learners level together with levels that were meant for grown-ups. Because the GSE has a young learners categorization, okay? And the other thing is that it has 90 levels. So in one school year, you do move from being a 24 to a 35, okay? So you can tell it's more granular, you can tell what happens. So based on those two things, we needed a second edition, and it's ready, and it's beautiful. This is what I was telling you about. See, if you look at the global scale of English, we go all the way up to 90. And I have good news for you if you teach children, don't worry about it. We only have to go up to 47 in primary, okay? This is someone else's problem. And nobody has to get to 90 because we know that there is no such thing as a C2 walking on this earth, okay? We always say that that's the best level, but native speakers don't pass that test, okay? It's like the TOEFL. Take a TOEFL in your native language, and we'll talk later, okay? Anyway, this is the way it's organized. And the beauty of it is that we were able to develop it in a way that we have two kinds of objectives. The ones that come down, that trickle down from the globals. I tell teachers the ones that come from heaven, okay? The ones that come down from the global scale of English, and then the ones that are earthly, the ones that we deal with as lesson objectives. So basically, we're talking about two categories of objectives, okay? And you can see here, just to give you a little taste of what we're talking about. So you see, this is because we have all the skills. There is a level 10 for speaking, for writing, for reading, for you get the drill, okay, the whole thing. So you can see if somebody can use cardinal numbers up to 10, if a kid can say 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 10, I'm a level 10, okay? And that's what we want. We want them to feel that idea. And of course, see, this is a more specific case. You're going to see something very important here. See, it says, can identify everyday objects, people or animals in their immediate surroundings or in pictures from short basic descriptions, i.e. or colors, if spoken slowly and clearly. So we use a lot of scaffolding to be like supporting the increscendo, the increment in levels in students. So we do it for everything there. And of course, this is a level 4 thing. So how do we plan a lesson based on teaching? The teaching objectives are the earthly ones, the ones that we wrote in order to match the ones that come down from the GSE for lesson purposes, okay? So you'll see that the lesson itself, and this is a good thing that I need to explain. In the teacher's guide, and I'll show you that, we have a linear presentation of these little circles, okay? But I wanted it this way to show you that it's actually a circular thing, because we start by telling the teachers how to introduce the theme, the topic, and warm the kids up. And then we go to lesson objective. Going to the lesson objective doesn't mean to enunciate the objective. It means to do an activity where there is awareness of the objective, okay? And as we move on, and this is the first lesson, so it has a song, there's a song involved. So as we move on, then we come back to the objective. But now it's not for the student to be aware of what is expected of him or her. It is for them to do something so they have the awareness that I got it. And there is nothing better in learning, because learning is done by humans. So there's nothing better in a human being than the emotional feeling of knowing that you know. There's nothing better than that. And it applies to any subject, not just to English. So as we move through that, of course, and teachers always laugh about this when I tell them this, after there is awareness that I actually have learned, then of course, homework, okay? So teachers, one of the reasons why I wanted to be a teacher myself when I was in my teens was because I wanted to write tests. Revenge. This moment I got to be a teacher, I hated writing those tests. It took my weekends away, twice, when you wrote them and when you graded them. So no, it didn't work out, did it? Okay. Now, see, this is what I was telling you about. This is what the teacher's guide actually shows. And we call it a lesson flow, and you'll see that we have the lesson objective twice because it's circular. We go past it again, okay? But we go past it for different purposes, and then the homework. Now, the beauty of this is that because this is the most advanced program that Pearson has ever developed for young learners, it has a beautiful, beautiful digital component, a platform. And if you teach using the digital component, these little circles actually turn into places where you go and do this. And immediately it comes out and starts teaching for you. So I don't know if you're familiar with an American lady named Vanna White. Okay, so she makes a good living out of turning letters. She used to, now she just pushes little buttons, okay? So think of yourselves as Vanna Whites, okay? You just go and you go, bing, and it starts teaching and you're just there with a big smile supporting your kids, okay? So it's just wonderful. That's the way the teacher's guide. See, now, the whole thing, this is the first page of a unit in the teacher's guide, and I understand you're taking one with you. These objectives are the heaven objectives these are the ones that come down from the GSE, so it's mapped to the global skill of English. And then we have a unit project, and we also, one of the reasons why the teacher's guides are so thick now is because I asked for the student pages to be there twice. The time when it could be surrounded by the lesson plan. Because when I visit classrooms around the world, I always notice the teachers, when they're preparing, they're doing this. So I figured, how can we solve that problem so teachers can look at everything at a glance? And so we have the student page with the next page here. It has the whole lesson, the continuation of this. And then you have, of course, the student pages. Now, we kept the comic strips in levels 1 through 4, and we move on to formal reading in levels 5 and 6 because the kids that I visit were always telling me, I love your comic strips, so we kept them. And of course, but see, the difference is now we have a lesson objective. We don't have this in the original edition. Now we have it. And this is correlated to one of the GSE objectives. And then we have the activities to see if they actually learned something from it. And then we assist them and we challenge them. So see, when it comes to grammar, for those of you that are new to this business, and everybody here, it's not because I'm not wearing my glasses, but everybody here seems to be very young. Did I hear thank you? Okay. But everybody seems to be very young, so I need to tell you something. Back in the day, one of the reasons why I'm well known, because remember, my name is not John Smith, my name is Mario Herrera, okay? And the fact that I'm well known around the world is because many, many years ago, I was one of the 2 authors that wrote the first constructivist-based series for teaching English to children. The problem we had back in the 90s, there I am dating myself again, the problem we had is that grammar could not be taught through constructivism. So the first generation was grammar-less, or should I say grammar-free, okay? But then we figured out a way of teaching grammar in a constructivist way. So the series before Big English, Backpack, was the first one to introduce something that I like to call cognitive grammar. Grammar taught in a constructivist, cognitive way. And I have taught for many, many decades, and my first years as teacher, I wouldn't have this available to me, okay? We would have to teach a different kind of grammar. So you'll see we have model visualization, language and use, and of course you see the objective is there, as always, okay? And then you move on to monitoring for feedback, which is the second stage of the assessment for learning process. And we use stickers here. So this is a series that has stickers for grammar. Beat that one, okay? And stickers for grammar. And then, of course, we move on to the students. I'm very familiar with using principles that come from Gestalt, the general perception, the global perception of things. And the key word in Gestalt is the word insights. And in American English, because I am aware that Pearson is American-British, okay, British-American, in American English we have something that we call, oh, my students had an ah moment. When the kids say, ah, that's cognitive grammar. Okay? So we have an ah moment by showing, that's why we call it insights on word order. And this is when the kids manage to see the flow of the sentence. And at the very end, you can't see it here, but there is something that the 4th stage, the challenge, the personalization part, the transference to students' lives. So those are the 4 stages of cognitive grammar. Now, of course, anybody in the world, regardless of where we teach, that isn't teaching CLIL, regardless of what book you're using, we're not doing the right thing. we have to teach content at the same time that we teach English. And of course, I've been very, let's say, consistent with CLIL throughout my author life. And we have two kinds of CLIL in English language teaching. We have academic CLIL. Here we're talking about content connections to science. And the lesson plan goes through the same stages. We do the involving, the monitoring, the assisting, and the challenging. And then we have cultural CLIL. See? We're always talking about dragons from two perspectives. From science and, of course, from fairy tales and the like. And always now, we always have the lesson objective, okay? Because of the GSE thing. Now, what's another thing that's new is this. In the original edition, I have literacy, phonics, levels 1 and 2, and writing, and if it's constructivism, process writing, okay, in levels 3, 4, 5, 6. In the new edition, we have both every time, every level. So now we have 2 pages in every single unit and all 6 levels. We have a phonics page and we have a... Why is it good to have a phonics page? Well, let me just go back. It's good to have a phonics page beyond level 2 because when we only have it twice in 2 levels, you have to sacrifice your phonics time for the basics. You know, how do you pronounce the double vowels? Is it U, is it A, is it A? But when you have it in every single level up to 6th grade, you can get into more sophisticated things that match the native way of using it. Like in this particular, this is the 4th grade, and you can see they were dealing with the and the and like, okay? And then when it comes to writing, yes, we do process writing. I'm very proud to tell you this is the only series that teaches writing the way we teach writing in the United States to native speakers, see? Process writing. And every single unit, and I have this, see, we're talking about end marks here. Do you use a period, a question mark, or an exclamation mark? So we go through the 4 teaching stages, and we use pre-writing as a brainstorming idea. And then we have the writing per se. And then in the teacher's guide, and that's why I have this little abstract here, in the teacher's guide I give teachers a way of revising in front of their students so they're the smart ones. They're the ones telling teachers to look at their draft and see how it went. And then at the very end, the challenge is to present it in a way that it looks cute, okay? Looks nice. Now here's the phonics page that I was telling you about. And of course so now values. Values are very important and they've been around for a while. How are values different in Big English compared to other publishers? One of my concerns about values is, what do I do? Because a value is, we're supposed to teach them, but there's not enough time. And the only reason it's good to teach a value is if it actually changes the student's behavior. Like, somebody can rob a bank, and they cover their faces. Why did they cover their face? Because they know it's wrong. So they know the value exists, they just don't incorporate it to their behavior. So you bring it to English language teaching. I actually thought of this, it was 3 in the morning and I was somewhere in China. I know it was South Korea. And I was thinking, because of jet lag, I was thinking, what can I do so not give values that much more time because we don't have time, and yet have it linger for it longer so that it can stay with the students. And it was in front of my eyes all this time and I hadn't seen it. What if we put the value together with the project? And then you have to present the project and talk about it, and you have show and tell and all those things. So then the value, see, is associated with speaking, and then under here, under this part, you will see the project that is connected to the value, okay? Now, somebody asked me the other day, wait a minute, but did you add another page because you didn't have phonics, you had phonics or writing and I have both, so do you have 13 pages? I said, I would never have 13 pages. It's not a good number. So no, good, you got it. So no, I kept it down to 12 by doing what? By concentrating the 2 review pages into 1, okay? So now we have a multi-task, scale, whatever you want to call it, so review page. Instead of 2, we have 1. And we have, like here we have reading, and here we have speaking. And if I could keep going down, you would see the other skills there as well. Now, Every 3 units, we have a checkpoint. And look at this. This is learning at its best. The students actually look at everything they learned in 3 months. And I give them a reference page for them to go back and review it. And they decide if they know this, if they need more practice, or if they don't know it. It's a beautiful kind of assessment of self-awareness, okay? And there are 4 pages. We start by reviewing, and we end up with mastery and with metacognitive circumstance. It's just beautiful. Then, of course, we have the workbooks. I have a wonderful anecdote with these workbooks. When you experiment with students, you don't have the books. You're actually writing them, right? So then Pearson always gives me these photocopies, this double, what are they called, the big ones? Double letter size. So then my student said, "Teacher, it's wrong. It's not the workbook. It's the student book." I said, "No, it's the workbook." And the student says, "But it's in color." I said, "Shoo, I thought I had, you know what? I thought I had screwed up." Okay. So no, the thing is that they're in 4 colors. They look like a student book. They're actually the workbook pages, okay? And they all match the lessons, so vocabulary, the song. There's a lot of stuff, the story, the introduction to grammar, the grammar pages themselves, CLIL, more CLIL, the writing practice. So every single aspect of the student, every single lesson has its labeled representation in the workbook, okay? So it's just beautiful. And then we have the teacher's guide. And when I say that it's unequivocally the best teacher's guide ever, I really mean it. And it's everybody's work, not just mine. It's just beautiful. We start with the GSE objectives that match the unit. And we give the teachers a project and vocabulary for the unit and vocabulary for CLIL and phonics and materials and a bulletin board, all the stuff, you see. And then we get into, see, this is what I was telling you about. The teacher's guide has the student pages twice. First for preparation. And the beauty about this page is that it has the assessment for learning stages, the involved, monitoring, assisting, challenging, but then it has the rest of the stuff included in there, all the way up to homework, see? And of course, 21st century skills. So this is the unit itself, the stickers for the grammar part. And then of course, something the teachers are loving, the platform. For the first edition, we have like a little bit of this, but for this new edition, we really went full. I identify 3, it's not like it's divided like that, but I identify 3 major things in the platform. One of them is for the teacher to teach. If your institutions, and I know that if you're here at TESOL, you come from nice schools, okay? If you have the digital, the interactive whiteboard or a computer and a projector or whatever, this is the side of the digital program that you want to use to teach. This is where you will find those little red circles that you just touch and the teaching starts happening, okay? And then of course we have when you prepare, or your teachers, the teachers that report to you. When they prepare, you always want to have access to worksheets and to video this and video that and this and that. So this is your preparation area when you download stuff and you can, in class, you can show videos and the like. The ones that are not linked directly to the lesson plan. And then of course, there is the corner for the students. Like you want to assign stuff to students that they will submit and send. And this is beautiful because every single unit has at least 16 activities that you can assign through the month. And when you assign them, the beauty of this is that you assign them and you can just forget about it. Because the students will go home, they will find it on their screen, they will answer, do, practice, whatever, they will submit. And before you go to bed, you go online with your access code. And you'll see your whole group, your class, and like an airport. And you'll see how well they did. And if somebody didn't submit, it'll say it. So you call that student at 11 p.m. Where is your work? And somebody asked me, but how do I know what they failed in? Which is a decent, acceptable question. Well, don't worry. The system will give you a graph. It will tell you if the weakness is on spelling, or is it reading, or is it it's just beautiful. It was a lot of work, but these people are masters of their thing. Now, audio. I always say that I finally got away with this because I hate it. See, because of today, the way audio works today, that there's always an audio for the student, and then there's a teacher's audio. Of course, it's online, but if you're not using the digital component, you need a CD, right? So here it is. No, so every single activity is linked to 2 different numbers. I had never been able to get this from Pearson until now. Okay? So if it's the workbook CD, you tell the student, go to track 6. But if it's your CD, you go to track 30. Okay? Now, posters. Because this is the second edition, we already have a host of posters. There is a poster for every single unit. So then when it came to what do we put on the new ones, I tried to play it smart. I wanted to enrich the materials, not replace them. So this new edition has an add-on. Now we don't have, you already have, or you can get, even if you're not a user of the current edition, you can still get them. There is a unit, poster per unit. Now we have plus thematic posters that go with the year-long topic. So here we have, see for instance in level 4, we have a hobbies poster, and we also have a special days poster, and we also have a healthy living. Now the reason why I'm putting this poster on top of it is because teachers, one of the most beautiful things of Big English is its theme song, okay? Out of respect, I will not have you dance it today, but next time I see you, you'll be standing up, okay? Teachers love it so much that they were asking me for a poster with the lyrics so that the student doesn't have to look at his or her book, okay? Because they're moving their bodies. So then we finally got away with it. Now there is a poster with the lyrics for the song. And of course, flashcards, same story. We already have a bunch of flashcards. The new ones are 2-sided, but we have big fonts, big letters, so that now the teacher can actually turn them and everybody can read them. The current edition we can use to pass them on to students, and they have the label right here, but now we have the whole thing in the back. See? This guy is sick, he has a cold, and it says cold, okay? And this guy has black hair and she has light brown hair, and it says it, full size, okay? So we have a lot of new flashcards that come with the new edition, so you can use both. Now, if there is one thing that I love about this series is the assessment pack, because it does a lot of stuff for the teacher. It gives you the pre-tests, the practice tests, the unit test, and every 3 months, it gives you a speaking test, by the way. And I love this because they're spiral bound. So when you show the students this so they talk, you're actually following this lesson plan for the test. And students are always saying, boy, does my teacher prepare class. Okay? But all you have to do is just follow the lead here. Okay? It's all there. Now, as I said earlier, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to novelty here. I always wanted a TV channel. Okay? But of course, it's not going to be on cable news or cable whatever, or part of DirecTV. It's online. But there's actually a big TV channel. Okay. And the channel has 52 videos that are graded. And the videos are just beautiful. I don't want to take more of your time, so I'm not going to show you the videos. But there are 52 videos, all graded. And basically what you have is a narrator, and something is happening. And these kids are speaking English from different accents around the world, so there's a balance there. And then what do you do with the video, with the TV show? Well, what you do is you go to your big TV workbook, okay? There's a printed video workbook and a bank of teacher notes that accompanies it. There are 4 pages per unit. Now, do you need to use this? The answer is no. It's there, it's available. You don't have to use it. And see, this is the page 2, 3, and 4. And it follows a lesson plan. There's a lesson plan for it. And it always ends with a challenge as well, okay? So then, my friends, Penguin readers, if Pearson also owns Penguin, the most famous readers in the world for graded reading, don't you find it tempting to go to them and say, please, pretty please, can I use your beautiful world renowned books? And of course, they said yes with a little twist, a little pinch. And so there are Penguin readers that match Big English. Again, do you need to use them? No. Are they there? Yes. Okay. So we have identified 2 Penguin readers per level. And because the lesson that I was showing you was about animals, then this is one of the 2 that matches level 4. So you'll see there are 24-page readers, and at the very end of the readers, we have activity pages. This is the second one. And in the back cover, you have what we know from Penguin readers, which is that they're graded. So because it's level 4, it has 800 words. So it's just beautiful. Now, my last transparency before I say thank you is very important, because this is what Big English and GSE are trying to solve and help with. See? For many, many years now, we are used to having these 2. So when teachers see this, they say, oh, interesting. See, we're used to the common European framework that takes us from A1, A2, blah, 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 all the way up to A1 or B1 in primary, in elementary. And then we were used to the Cambridge Young Learners tests, the starters, the movers, the certification, the flyers. Now we have added 2. Now we have the GSE, and at level 6 we can go all the way up to level 47 in the best scenario. And we also have something called PTE. And PTE is the Pearson Test of English. So now we have another option for certifying students that match, that correlate with the levels. So this is a chart that maybe I'm sure you've never seen before. And it's new, and it's causing a lot of buzz with teachers around the world. Because now we can see the levels and not just talk about A1 through the whole primary level. So with that, my friends, I would like to say thank you. Thank you so much for coming. And, is this when I pull the curtain up? Just a second. There's my email. If you want more information, just feel free to write, mario.herrera@pearson.com. And if you like gossip, and I know you do, okay, join me on Twitter, at Mario ELT for English language teaching. Thank you and have a nice evening.